So did you start skating or surfing first?
Well, no, surfing. Yeah. But it was the best way to grow up surfing. It was just like dad had like a beat up longboard. My uncle had a beat up longboard. It was like kind of like an afterthought, you know what I mean, at the beach. Like it was like body surfing, boogie boards. Yeah. And then we're like, all right, like let's try to catch a wave.
Nice.
You know, my dad was like a pretty, solid like longboarder. Mm-hmm. Like he grew up surfing in the late 70s and just like, he's just like a recreational sports enthusiast.
Nice.
And definitely not a gearhead. So we always had like the sketchiest like, that was probably my biggest deterrent from surfing was just like fiberglass, like getting stuck in me while trying to push up on a board, you know what I mean? But skating was just accessible.
Yeah.
Surfing was crazy before webcams. Cause like,
you like actually had to like go to the beach and like just be like, hey, can I surf today? Or
yeah, absolutely. But with that being said, it was even more accessible because like, there was no parking or anything back then. So you could just have at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, skateboarding for me, it was just like, you have concrete, you can skate.
Yeah. Yeah, the tide doesn't really matter. The swell direction doesn't matter, as long as it's dry for the most part.
Yeah, I had a cul-de-sac, man, and a couple of the kids skated, and like we would just build ramps, and it was awesome. But I played a lot of other sports too. I was like 3-sport athlete, like baseball, football, golf, basketball.
So Carrie, I found out your sister played on the UNCW golf team.
Yeah.
So is golf big in your family, or?
Yeah, my dad won the City Am in '95. He didn't start playing until he was 20, but he's like a big gambler. He's a construction guy, gambler. He's just like an eternal teenager, dude.
Unbelievable.
Dude has the most fun, and he's able to do it because he works hard and he takes responsibility for all of his actions. That's what I've realized.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard my dad blame anybody for anything.
That's pretty cool.
He's like, yeah, I messed up. It's on me.
Yeah. But to like pick up a golf club when you're 20,
totally.
Like, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he was stoked. I like grew up playing sports and then like shooting pool, hanging out. He was like, wait a minute, you can like have fun, play a sport, and gamble. Like a local country club out like in Jacksonville. And he was stoked.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we grew up playing a lot of golf. My parents, when I was 7, my dad got a membership at Pine Valley. No initiation fee, $150 a month.
God,
3 kids, I'm the youngest, 7, 10, and 13. That was the ages of all of us then. And that was our summer camp.
Yep.
18 to 36 holes a day, a pool, hot dogs.
Yeah.
It was great. I can't imagine that now. And so like that was just what we did. And it was a really cool community to grow up in. Like as far as the network of support from other people, the friends that we made. And I played serious junior golf probably till I was 14 or 15. Played all 4 years in high school.
And you were at
Ashley.
Ashley.
Yeah, I'm from the south side of town. So.
And then so after Ashley, I was doing some digging on you.
Yeah.
You went to UNC for undergrad.
I did.
And then you went to this school called Harvard, which some people might know.
Yeah, that was yeah, definitely. I went there just for the sweatshirt, man.
Yeah, but you got your master's in education from Harvard.
I did.
I mean, what's it? I mean, that's crazy. Like, it's a school that probably anywhere around the world, like, people know like what Harvard is.
Absolutely. It was just the best option, best choice. I was lucky. I went to Ashley High School. I was part of the first graduating class, and that was like a cool kind of empowering experience to be a part of.
Yeah.
I learned that my junior year, I think, I had like pretty good grades, but there was this program where if you agreed to teach for 4 years, your undergraduate was paid for. It's called the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Program.
Okay.
And so I was like, sign me up. And then I got accepted in that program, but specifically to the Chapel Hill program. Mm-hmm. And the coolest thing is Chapel Hill didn't have a school of education. But they had this incredible program of education where we'd have to take a class every single semester, and we did like field work. Mm-hmm. So it was super cool. And so I got to major in English and comparative literature, which was awesome. But the problem is when I graduated from undergrad, I had this amazing educational experience. I got a great, English experience, and I majored there in that. And I was like, dude, I don't have a teaching license. But I was like, they're like, just go to like a MAT program and get your master's in teaching, which I thought was a really cool idea because you could actually just focus on teaching for that year. Mm-hmm. And so I started applying to some different grad schools, and I guess I had done some things right along the way, and I like reading and writing and all those good things well enough. And I Harvard made the most sense.
That's amazing.
And I got such an incredible educational experience there.
I can only imagine.
Being a part of that cohort was amazing, but then we got to student teach in Boston Public Schools.
Wow.
Which was awesome. And the focus was on urban education, and it was just eye-opening. And got to work with some of the best teachers, like probably in the United States. I mean, Boston Public Schools is a highly functional urban school district, and to be able to see like career professionals and be able to kind of glean best practices from them working with really challenging populations,
yeah,
it was awesome.
So were you teaching high school in Boston?
Yeah.
And then came back to Wilmington after that to start teaching you were at Laney?
No, I was at Ashley.
Ashley, okay.
I returned back to my old high school.
How cool is that, man? So you were the first graduating class of Ashley.
Yeah.
Go and get this awesome education, this awesome experience outside of Wilmington, and then bringing it back to Wilmington.
Yeah. It was honestly, it was an honor, man.
Yeah.
And it was a 2010, 2011 job market. It was like really tough to get a job, to come back home, and somehow or another I got a job, and I ended back at my old high school, and it was a real honor. I mean, there was this feeling of kind of dissonance and delight. Like I was so happy to be back home and be at my old high school, but at the same time I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm working with my old teachers. And I was literally in their class 5 years ago. Like, are they ever going to respect me? Or like, you know, so the imposter syndrome part of it was kind of real. But the cool part is like, I never really felt in my educational experience, specifically as a teacher, that I wasn't still being a student. And I feel like that's such an important part of being a teacher, is still having that student mindset. And I got to learn from so many of my colleagues. You know, I didn't come with like my Harvard degree being like, oh, I know everything that you do. I'm like, no, I'm like literally back in the old school where I was. And then my students, you know, like 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds primarily, who I worked with as juniors. I mean, I worked with some absolutely brilliant kids.
I bet.
You know, and teenagers will challenge you. Yeah. They'll keep you honest, man. So like, I mean, I was always open to that. And that really served me well. But yeah, even with the fancy degrees and the awesome experiences I got, you know, I'm right back at my old high school. Still being a student and trying to figure out how to be a teacher.
Continuous learning.
Yeah, it's real.
Keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that when you went to go to university, that if you agreed to teach for 5 years after, was it your goal to always get into education, or was that just kind of like, how did that come about?
I really wish I could like say it was a goal, and I've been asked this question before, and I'm a pretty imaginative person, but I couldn't imagine at that time doing anything other than that, you know?
Yeah.
I had like the privilege or luxury of going on tour with a couple of skateboard companies. You know, I was a sponsored skateboarder, and like my belief in being a professional skateboarder, I was like, you know what, this is really cool, but this isn't kind of it. Like I love skateboarding, but I'm not really interested in being pro.
And that's like so many kids' dreams, right? To be like a pro, any athlete. But
yeah, it was awesome. Like I had the honor to like go and film with people and go on tour, and I still skate a ton, and I love it. But I learned pretty quickly, like there's things that you love to do, and they don't always have to be what you do for a living.
Yeah.
And honestly kind of makes you appreciate them even more. But yeah, no, I'm pretty imaginative, and I really couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. Like I really love learning. I love teaching. I love the opportunity to connect with people and to learn from them. And I was like, oh yeah, and summer's off. And holidays.
Exactly.
I was like, I can still skateboard. Yeah. I can still surf. I mean, so I really like that. And I've been on that same schedule my entire life, you know, and I was like, I guess I'll just continue it.
I'm thinking, when I was in high school, if I had someone that was like an ex-pro skateboarder, well-educated young guy, I'd be like,
right,
this is like the ultimate like teacher experience. I'm sure you were able to connect with a lot of kids because they looked up to you as more than just like, oh, this is my teacher. It's like, hey, this is a guy that like does cool stuff.
Absolutely. And I had a handful of those teachers. Specifically, there was this teacher named Andy Tolhurst. And I eventually took his spot and took over his course load, but he was like a skater, he was a surfer, now he's an English professor at UNCW.
How cool.
But it was great seeing people like that. And also thinking about your own educational experience. And I do this even with my business and other work. And I'm like, all right, like I had a great experience, but like what did, or what could have, or like what did my friends and I really need in a teacher, right? It was maybe someone that was relatable, someone that had their own interests, but someone that could, you know, like care and be approachable and relevant, but also still challenge them to want to learn, because like they're already open and challenging themselves to learn all the time.
Absolutely.
And so like part of me being a teacher was like, all right, cool, like how could I be the adult that I needed or that my friends needed in this community? And at that time, you know, the community's changed. The southern part of Hanover County, I mean, it was essentially the greater Carolina Beach and Masonbury area.
Right.
And there was some really specific needs in that community in 2010 and 2011.
Definitely.
And it was great to just be a caring and present adult in these kids' lives and teach them, you know, the wonderful English language and teach them how to communicate, teach them how to write, critically think. And it was fun.
And I know that you won the Educator of the Year award from Hanover County.
I did.
That's so cool.
It was awesome.
And that was in 2019?
2019, yeah.
So from 2010 to 2019, you know, it's a good 9-10 years. But, you know, tell us a little bit how you went from being a new teacher and some of the stuff you did to get recognized as an Educator of the Year. It's a really big deal.
You know, Harvard really, my experience at Chapel Hill was really focused on the relationship between community and culture. Specifically the communities in which your students come from and the culture of the school and how they might be aligned or misaligned. And that was an important kind of thing for me to think about that affected my decision to come back. I was like, well, I actually know this community. I know these kind of the areas of support. I know things that aren't particularly great, but I knew the community and I really immersed myself in the community, and it wasn't hard to do. But then when I was at Harvard, they were like, all right, like high expectations are so important. And also having a purpose as an educator. Every lesson plan, you should have a purpose. Like, what are you actually trying to achieve? And you need to know that so you can actually tell the students, because they're like, why are we learning this, right? Well, this is the purpose. And so it was like high expectations, know the community, know the culture. But then there was this other missing piece that really kind of, I learned a lot, is like high expectations only work if there's like high levels of support, high help. And so as a teacher, I was able to, like, over time, maintain and build these high expectations and work with students to achieve a lot of their personal goals, because I was willing to provide the support. And that was like the big thing for me. And over time, like just the accumulation of doing simple things well kind of became the definition of not only my success, which is less important, than the success of students.
Yeah.
And they also learn that, like, what does it look like to do simple things well?
Yeah.
And that was just a big part of our classroom experience and my teaching philosophy. And yeah, we had some great results, and it was a good run, and had a lot of fun, and was totally surprised when I got Teacher of the Year.
That's so cool.
I was there in the cafeteria with all the other teachers who had got it on a school level. Like, I wasn't even dressed appropriately. I think I just had like on a dress shirt. Like, I didn't have a tie or a suit. No idea. Had to give 2 speeches that night, and I was just like, wait a minute, what?
How is the Educator of the Year? Oh, is it from the students, the parents, the who nominates, or how does that?
Such an honor. So you're actually voted on it from the faculty and staff at your school.
Wow. So it's a group of your peers that are nominated. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you go and you meet with, you know, if you make it past that round, you fill out this really kind of extensive paperwork, or this application. You know, teachers refer to it kind of negatively as paperwork, but I thought the questions were really cool. It felt really similar to applying to graduate school, the types of questions you were asked. Yeah. I took that, you know, process really seriously, filled that out, and then, you know, you sit essentially in a roundtable interview with educational stakeholders in the community, and there's like 20 people interviewing you at once if you make it to the next level. Yeah. And then they're the ultimate ones who decide. You know, so I think there's like school board staff, the superintendent's administrative team, maybe the superintendent was there, I can't remember, and then other teachers of the year as well. So the process to be selected, it was such an honor. Like, to be nominated by some of my old teachers.
And some of your old teachers.
Yeah, and your colleagues. It's so affirming, right?
Yeah.
And then to, you know, complete kind of the philosophical and written work and articulate kind of your message, your vision, and then have to defend it and talk about it in this like kind of high stakes environment. It was awesome. I mean, it was an incredible process, and it was one of like the peak professional development experiences for me. 10 years into your career to kind of like take some time to think about what's working, why you're doing the work, what makes you excited about continuing to do it, and like the type of leader you are, and also even like the ways in which you can still grow or the blind spots you have.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people in their career don't really have a chance to get challenged like that. And of course it was an honor to be selected by my school, but when I sat down to start doing the application, I was like, whoa, these are real questions, and like I've got to really think deeply about this. And it was really valuable to me, and I must have embodied it in the interview because they chose me. Thanks for doing that, by the way. It was an honor. Got to drive a Prius for a year. Got to represent New Hanover County Schools, which meant so much to me because I'm a product of them.
Absolutely. Man, that's totally full circle.
Yeah.
So I want to rephrase what you said about having high expectations, the support, and then the consistency. Because, I like to say I listen to a lot more than I read at this point in time just because of
That's
like
good.
the time constraints. But like, I would much rather like sit and read books, but, podcasts is like how I get a lot of my information. And I love listening to stories of successful people, professional athletes. And the recurring theme is like when people talk about, how'd you become successful, or, what was like the pivotal point? Most of them are like, there wasn't one, know? It's like have a compelling vision, like work hard at it and be consistent. And then over time, if you do it right and surround yourself with the right people, like you can become successful. And
absolutely,
I kind of like you pretty much just reiterated that in maybe a little bit different of a context. But.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like for yourself or for other people, you have high expectations for yourself. You're doing the work. You're being consistent, but it's also great to think about the people who've supported you along the way.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it was really easy to think about my family, my parents, my sister, my teachers, my partner, coworkers, and to this day, like I think about how, I have this formula that's allowed me to be successful in certain ways, but I have a huge web of love and support.
Absolutely.
And that kind of also probably might even start relating to how I transitioned into, the nonprofit sector and what we do as an educational nonprofit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're able to really kind of provide those forms of support, maybe if students don't have those.
And like the leadership that you embody as well. I mean, you're doing the education, but now you're running an organization.
That's right.
Which, is, another skill set, but not that far different than what you've done as an educator.
For sure. I mean, when you're a teacher, you feel, you're responsible for 90 to 100 kids a day and their education. And you're responsible for communicating to them, to their parents, to your supervisors, and to your community stakeholders.
Yep.
And you learn how to be really strategic and really effective with really little time and resources. So it makes a lot of sense to be able to transition from that world into a leadership world, or leadership role in a nonprofit. But I mean, still understanding kind of the nuances of the nonprofit world and this intersection with businesses and its intersection with the educational system has been an incredible learning experience for me.
So the Schreiber Foundation, you're the executive director for Schreiber Foundation.
Schreiber Foundation. John will get mad at me if we don't call it Schreiber.
Schreiber. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the vision, mission, the work that you guys are doing at the Schreiber Foundation.
It's amazing. So, I mean, it basically starts with this premise of what does it look like to replace barriers with opportunities? We look at, young students' educational trajectories and life trajectories, and we always talk about learning gaps or funding gaps. But one thing that we don't talk about are opportunity gaps. And that's really where the program initially started. Now, as an organization, like we do address learning gaps. We do address funding gaps. We provide wraparound services and support, academic, economic, social, emotional, any of those things. But it started there. And it started with the vision of John Monteith, replacing barriers with opportunities and seeing what would happen if kids from Title I schools started having these opportunities and these degrees of support. And it started with a 1-week capstone experience to an island, Schreiber Island in Canada, just to see how much that could change their trajectory, their landscape, build resiliency, connection, brotherhood. But that was just 1 week. And so since the program's inception in 2011, we've evolved into a 52-week program. And so in our current iteration, we essentially recruit 7th grade students specifically from Williston Middle School, Title I school here in town, and make a 10-year promise to see them through college or their chosen field of endeavor and do whatever it takes to kind of get them there.
How cool.
Yeah, so it's that simple. It's these simple things done well.
Yeah.
Be strategic in identifying people who need support, who have, great academic or other potential, and fulfill that promise. And meet each other in the middle, those high expectations and that high support.
Why do you guys choose 7th grade, or start with that?
That's a great question. Why 7th grade? Well, it's just such a pivotal period, right? It's like, that stage of early adolescence, you can capture kind of the imaginations, the dreams, just the excitement of that those teenage years. And really still have enough time before they graduate high school to give them any type of academic or social support they need to be fully actualized.
Got it.
And God, that's a great question. I mean, in educational trends, it's always the whole, everyone knows that the earlier you start, the better, right?
Yeah.
And I think in doing a landscape assessment, or maybe just out of preference when the foundation was established, this seemed to be like a really big need. And it seemed really immediate. I think that's what it was. There's this immediate need happening in early adolescence. If you think about, educational test scores, you think about sometimes youth violence, you think about dropouts, you think about all of these kind of problems that might plague young teenage males kind of dealing with certain realities. This is something that you see and you can kind of act urgently and just kind of jump in there and kind of course correct or support the good stuff that's happening already.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's just that age that kind of, it's that Bildungsroman period. And that's really exciting. Where, you've gotten to this point, you've got these certain skill sets, you've got this worldview, but with the right direction, the right opportunities, the right pushes, really exciting things start happening in real time for you, you know? And I do think that there's a lot of programs, and there still needs to be more that focus on early childhood and elementary. But middle school is kind of this transitional period that people don't really talk about a lot and don't focus on as much.
In the selection process or the application process, what does that look like? Do kids have to fill out an application or do interviews, or how do you guys?
So for us, traditionally we would go to the parent information nights and do presentations.
Okay.
And then we realized that maybe we could be more effective by just explaining and building a really deep relationship with the guidance staff and the teaching staff, talking kind of about our program, its mission, the profile, and then get nominations from the guidance counselors and the staff.
Got it.
Because over the years we've had to rebrand, or we have rebranded as an academic acceleration program.
Yep.
Just so that we could specify our focus, so that we could measure our impact and have a specific goal. So we provide wraparound services, but our real metrics that we use to kind of measure our success quantitatively are, the typical academic metrics of college acceptance rate, college graduation, early career, mid-career earnings. We have program was founded in 2011, so we've got a pretty awesome,
definitely,
data set to draw from. I mean, it's cool. We can see our impact, and it's hard to quantify, the other forms of support that we provide, but it's just important to know that because of all of those efforts, we're able to have these results.
Yep.
And so much with getting grants or receiving donations, people want to know that there's an impact.
Yeah.
And it's important to be able to show that.
And I'd imagine a lot of the kids that come through and you make a commitment to them and you follow through on a commitment.
That's right.
And I wonder, just that alone like the impact that makes on those kids to just be like, hey, like someone told me they were going to do something and they actually did do it, you know?
It means everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back to my teaching philosophy, and we're talking about doing simple things well. I think I might have missed in my 10 years of teaching like 11 or 12 days of school. And now I'm able to kind of explain what I was trying to explain more earlier, which is being a mentally and physically present adult in a young person's life.
Yep.
Is so important.
Yeah.
And being consistent in how you treat those people, being fair and equitable, but also fulfilling your promises.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, we're both parents, and you see that so much in parenting as well. It's just these simple things. We think of all these large, grandiose things, but it's like show up, be physically and mentally present for these kids, and fulfill any promise that you make.
Yep.
And it means a lot to people. And part of me becoming a school teacher, I think, was doing that. Like, I just want to show up, be present, and you know, let's do some cool stuff together. Let's learn, let's grow. You know.
How long have you been working with the Schreiber
For
Foundation?
6 years now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when I transitioned out of teaching, well, we can talk about the fuzzy note later. I opened up a small record and bookstore,
Yeah.
which was exciting. And I was actually DJing or working an event DJing, and the old executive director, Susie Sewell, walked up to me, and she was like, "Are you the teacher guy who was on the billboard who got Teacher of the Year? Like, why are you not teaching anymore?
Why are you DJing?"
Yeah, I was like, the pandemic. No, I was definitely going through a change. And she's like, I've got this educational nonprofit. She told me about Schreiber, and I was like, cool. And she's like, what? And I was like, I don't believe it. This sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's no way you guys are doing the work that you guys say you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I said, but I was able to contain my excitement because I was in disbelief.
Yeah.
And Susie, if you know her, like, she followed up with me. She's thorough.
Yeah.
She's activated in a good way. And, you know, so I resigned from teaching August 1 due to I really just wanted more flexibility to be present as a father, especially as the world was changing. This is 2020.
Yep.
And I started working at Schreiber Foundation January 2021.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Is that how you met John? Was through Susie, or
Absolutely.
did you already have a connection with him?
No, it was all just through Susie. Wow. And then like I went through a pretty rigorous interview process with her and the executive board, and I was like, whoa, like there's some like really awesome people here. This is exciting. Still don't believe that they're going to do everything they say they do.
Yeah.
And then I started just as a tutor. Because John and Susie recognized pretty quickly during the pandemic that our students were struggling with the online instruction that was happening. Yeah. And so they bought a house on North 4th Street, or John bought a house on North 4th Street for the foundation and turned it essentially into a COVID school. And when I came in, I became a tutor, then a lead tutor, and then over the years kind of floated into this director of education role. And then as Susie transitioned out, I've been growing into the executive director or CEO role ever since. So I've really got to understand that landscape, kind of similar to teaching, whereas like I started as a tutor, moved to lead tutor, and now I'm in this kind of executive position. So I really understand the ecosystem of our work. And I had 6 years to build relationships with our families and our students before moving into a leadership role. Yeah. And that's been awesome. And I really wish there was more programs for people to kind of grow into these types of roles in both the business world and the NPO world.
How many tutors work for Schreiber Foundation now?
Right now we have 4 tutors on staff,
okay,
which is awesome. We have 2 math tutors, 1 science tutor, and an ELA tutor. I moonlight as the other ELA tutor sometimes. But we also have a great volunteer network. You know, some of our biggest partners and donors are Monteith Construction, Live Oak Bank, Megacore, and so we have an incredible network of volunteers from those folks. Not only are they like very generous and do really meaningful philanthropic work for us and other organizations, but their employees, their leaders, their executives show up for us in ways that are also unbelievable. In
Wilmington, we're lucky to have businesses like them. I mean, the the amount that they put back into the community, and then like, you know, the culture that they've built. I mean, those are some pretty awesome backers, you know, pretty awesome supporters to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're incredibly supportive. The culture they build is authentic. It's real. Yeah. It's exciting to go and work for these folks, but it's all because the people in positions of leadership and the staff care. Mm-hmm. And they just care. And all caps.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just go list names right now, but I'm not going to do it, of all these executives, all these staff members, and they just care so much. And it gives you so much faith in this community to know that there's that many people who actually care. Because if you watch the news, you're like, no one cares. The world's going to crap. Yep. There's a lot of people that care. And the longer that, you know, I've been in this role, I've been able to connect with more people and even served as connector. Yep. And I'm really excited for a lot of this work to continue to come full circle.
Man, you just hit a point that I'm so passionate about, and I'm learning more and more about, you know, my why of, you know, why I do this work and like build a business. But like you said, like you watch the news, like the world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Absolutely.
But that's what you gotta love about small business and small businesses that become huge corporations.
Totally.
Because they're the ones that actually have the resources and the connections and to be able to like actually change something and do something that's, you know, that's real and can have a positive impact on the community.
It's funny, I didn't think about this. And I would never say that like Monteith Construction was a small business. And I'll never say that Live Oak was a small business.
But they were.
But they started.
Yeah, and same with Megacorp. I mean,
no, Ryan Legg. I mean, like, And so, like, because of that, like, economic growth, they're able to support so many community initiatives, but also, like, it's just, like, I totally understand why you would be passionate about that.
Yeah.
I haven't made that connection, but I was like, they actually all started as, like really innovative new businesses, or they had a new way of doing things that made them remarkably successful.
Yeah. And you got to love watching people like that rise to the top and be successful because, you know, they're just good folks, and to be able to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
So, and speaking of community, so you're also on the Community Advisory Council for the endowment.
Absolutely.
How long have you been in that role, and how did you get into that?
So I've officially been in the role for almost a year now.
Okay.
And it's been really exciting. And Susie, our previous executive director of the Schreiber Foundation, had been serving as an educational or head of the education committee, or a member of it previous.
Yep.
And I had kind of a chance meeting with Chris Boney, who serves on the board as, you know, oversees education initiatives. And he kind of found out a little bit of my backstory, like both as an educator, both of being a product of Hanover County Schools, and then now being in the executive director of Schreiber.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I think you should apply for this.
Yeah.
And I did. And now I'm on the CAC, as they call it, and I get to work with an incredible network of leaders and caregivers and community advocates. And that's a really inspiring bunch of people to sit down in a meeting with. And, you know, we also have great leadership from the endowment, from the staff. You know, I get to work closely with Terry and Tyler and Sophie and David. I mean, the list could go on. Like, getting to work with those folks is awesome.
Heck yeah. What is the primary role of the CAC?
I think it's to, you know, there's the board, there's the staff, and the CAC is largely about being a liaison or a conduit for community input.
Cool.
So it's working under the assumption that we're in touch with what's happening in the community through maybe our field. Like I'm very focused on education.
Absolutely.
And so we get to work with the staff on initiatives. We get to be a part of subcommittees. We get to bring things to the board's light or attention. But ultimately, we get to be a vehicle for community voice and community perspective.
Yeah, that's important.
In a formalized way, too.
Absolutely.
So I'm always just trying to have conversations around education, small business, what's happening in the community. And we have a really diverse community. And so I have, there's really interesting conversations with very different people about the things they see as assets or deficits. And I'm open to it. And I get to report back to the staff. I get to kind of collaborate with other members of the CAC around these, and it's exciting. It's validating. And yeah, I just get to be a liaison between that. And part of it too is kind of explaining the work of the endowment as well to the community, because also the way in which that's presented in media sometimes is a little problematic. And, you know, just be like, hey, it's people who are ultimately trying to do good.
Yeah, exactly.
And do good in an ethical way, and making database and data-driven decisions. Like it's really tough. And it's hard to assess need or who needs need or the ways in which to equitably disperse money. It's a really, really, really challenging job. I never thought it would be such a challenging thing to give money away.
I mean, you're just
or give money back.
You're like,
you know?
Under the microscope for every decision.
Totally. And no one's going to be happy.
You can't make everybody happy.
You can't make everyone happy. And it's not perfect. And I think one strength of, you know, this current iteration of leadership is we're not perfect. We're trying our best.
Yeah.
And we're open to constructive feedback. And I think that's part of why, you know, the CAC was established, was to be a vehicle or a conduit for the community, but also like in a structured way to also give that feedback to the staff as well. And we've gotten to sit like on like presentations before they go public. We get access to information sometimes before it goes public, just so that we can process it and know how to kind of respond and mitigate any misunderstandings. And just kind of call attention to what's really happening or what people are trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So back to Schreiber. So been around since 2011. And sorry to put you on the spot, I didn't prep you for this question, but do you know how many kids have gone through the program and have been impacted?
We have the specific number. We did like this really great like data sharing with Cape Fear Collective, also awesome organization. So I would say 60 to 65 individuals.
Wow.
Yeah, and their families. And the depth and breadth of the connection and the impact is the way in which we really understand the nature of our work. And while we're continuing to grow sustainably, I've doubled the operational size of our program since I became executive director, which some people might think is crazy. Previously, we had 7 kids, grades 7 through 12, or 8 in our after-school program, and now we're serving up to 18. People are like, scale, you gotta scale, like what does it look? And then for me, I'm like, with a program that's impact-driven in the way in which we are, the best way for us to scale to meet our objectives of kind of creating these generational game changers is in terms of depth and breadth. And so we're just going even deeper into our partnerships with our students and their families and the community stakeholders. And because of that, and the breadth piece also comes with making partnerships with other organizations, such as the Cameron Art Museum, NC Swim, or the Northside Pool. We consider Williston Middle School an essential partner as well.
Absolutely.
Not to mention some of our financial partners who, you know, provide a lot of our funding. So,
you know, I think that number was less than I was kind of expecting, but not by much. But I think that speaks to what you said, the depth of that. Like, we're not going to try to, you know, attack everything or like boil the ocean or whatever. It's like, like that's real. It's, you know, we're going to focus on a very specific niche group, and we're going to go really deep and work with these kids over 10 years. And
absolutely.
And so another thing you guys do as part of that is you provide scholarships to go to college.
Absolutely.
Right.
So whatever, you know, is not covered through financial aid or through scholarship or aid that they are, not even financial aid. We foot the rest of the bill.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. and we're lucky to do that, and that's another reason why we stay pretty small numbers wise.
Yeah.
And we have like accountability measures and expectations that the students have to meet to receive full funding, but
Right.
in the end we always end up fully funding kids and supporting them through college, which depending on the school or the situation can be pretty cheap or really expensive.
Yep.
Yeah. For my parents out there who are listening, we currently have a student enrolled at University of Kentucky out of state, Morehouse private out of state college, epic school, amazing HBCU, 2 students at ECU and another student at North Carolina Central.
How cool.
Yeah. And that's a lot of tuition.
That is a lot of tuition.
That's a lot of dining hall. That's a lot of wraparound services.
And so you're helping them with housing, dining. I mean the whole
automotive
deal
as well.
That's wow.
Yeah, all that stuff, and it's an honor to be able to do that, and to be that person. Once again, back to John's original premise, like what does it look like to replace barriers with opportunities, or replace barriers with, or equip students to basically have the same resources that essentially upper middle class or kids have.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to worry about your next meal. You don't have to worry about if your car breaks down. Focus on school, focus on working hard, focus on building your network, focus on building relationships, focus on being happy and relaxing, and like being able to kind of emotionally stabilize with all of the stress that's happened in the world. And it's crazy to see a lot of these students just climb right up Maslow's hierarchy to self-actualization in their own way. It's this simple premise. It's like, get the things that you need in order to be successful.
So being so connected to what, educating high schoolers for 10 years, being involved with the current position that you have, this is actually one question I'm going to kind of read off here because I want to make sure that I get this right. But, what do you see and learn from our teens? And how does that make you feel about the future for our community?
In the classroom? Or like as an educator?
Yeah. I mean, so what do you, in the classroom, what do you see? What are you learning? And then, how does that make you feel about, the general future, for us? Extrapolate that across, the not human race, but I mean, a bigger picture,
I mean, for me, I think, part of the reason why I was drawn to being a teacher is I just love the optimism, the energy, the subtle chaos, the excitement of young folks, especially teenage age, right? But most importantly, and I was thinking about this question earlier because I saw it and I was like, what am I really learning? I'm learning the importance of physical and mental presence. And so I've realized that, we're living in this world where AI is reality. Kids are on their devices all the time. Tech is everywhere. Tech is great. But what I've realized is that a lot of students are having a hard time being physically and mentally present in schools and in social situations. And I don't blame it on them. If you go to a restaurant, I mean, you look at parents, they're on their devices. You look at a lot of teachers sometimes and they have to be on their device because they're responding to emails that a principal has sent or something, and so what I've learned is that students really enjoy being physically and mentally present, and it's this exciting feeling for them. One of the first things that we do when they come to our after school program is they put their cell phones away. We have this magical 1-week experience in Canada where we do really hard things, but we find joy in doing them. There's no cell phones. Students are allowed to be present. And so, if students are reminded of how good that makes them feel, how powerful it is, or how much being physically and mentally present will contribute to their success, light bulbs start going off, right? And there's fun ways to do that as well. Our program, there's a really big focus on what I like to call recreational sports therapy, right? Nice. We're playing full court basketball at Wallace Park on Wednesdays, you know, and we're present. And then we have a debrief afterwards and we talk about the experiences that we have, and we're able to just be like, God, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is it better than brain rot on your cell phone? Of course it is, Mr. Tim. Like, stop talking about brain rot, dude. You're so old. But we forget. It's back to kind of doing those simple things.
Yep.
But students also need adults who can do that for them and show them what that looks like, or facilitate opportunities. And I think the more that happens, the better off we'll be.
Definitely. Physical and mental presence.
Yeah, and school gets a lot easier for kids when they realize that. And this was something even before technology, completely took over the educational landscape. Like, if you can figure out a way to be at school and also pay attention somehow or another, which is hard sometimes because some teachers are boring.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes a whole lot more exciting. And some teachers have a way of demanding your attention, or engaging you. But those things, like being physically and mentally present, it takes care of a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
And as a society, it's just something we're struggling with, and we just have to talk about it.
Yep.
And we don't have to vilify technology, and we don't have to vilify generations of people, whether they be boomers or Gen Z or millennial or whatever.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. We can just kind of get back to what's the truth of it.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm having a blast. We're having a conversation.
Exactly, man.
It's great.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But it's great to be present in the world. We both love physical activity. We love social. I mean, it's just great. And I worry about people who are just going to be isolated by technology or feel isolated because of technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think about that with my kids all the time. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and something that my partner Sarah is just really always hammering in, kids can see when you look at your phone.
I know.
And
yeah, my wife she reminds me of that.
I'm like, babe, I'm working. And she's like, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They're watching. And she's right.
No, exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's something like you meant, being a father, and my wife has helped me understand the importance of a lot of these things, but the physical and the mental presence.
Totally.
I've gotten into a pretty decent rhythm where I go home and I just put the phone on Do Not Disturb and put it up on the shelf, but just it's crazy how just subconsciously I'll just
totally.
I'll zone out, and next thing I know I'm like, whoa, how did this thing get into my hands?
Totally. My least favorite thing is when I'm going on my phone to check an email or send a text, and somehow I click a social media button.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not even trying to look at you right now.
Yeah.
How did you just do that?
Yeah.
I know. And this is coming from a person who's making laudatory statements about being physically and mentally present, and I get stuck in social media wormholes.
Well, it's also hard because you've got the rationalization. So we haven't talked about you being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But to run a business, social media is the biggest part of marketing.
It's so important.
So furthermore, being able to separate I'm doing this for practical work versus
totally
the mind rot. I like that.
Yeah,
or brain rot.
Brain rot, man.
But so tell us about, so you've got Fuzzy Needle, and then you've also got a skateboard art and apparel business.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that. We haven't gotten into that.
All right. So I started selling books online in 2019. I've been collecting books forever. Part of my grand retirement plan, I was like, I want to grow old in a bookshop one day.
Heck yeah.
And just have a used bookstore and a used record store. I love these things. And because of that, when I had summers off, I would take skate trips, I would travel, and obviously I'd be collecting records, collecting books. And at a certain point, I had thousands of records, thousands of books.
How cool.
It had become a problem. And I needed to figure out a way to productively offload them. And so I did a few pop-ups, and I had this Fuzzy Needle name just kind of came to me, mostly just because I wasn't great at taking care of my record player at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, there's something wrong with my record. And I'm playing it, and I go look, and obviously there was an epic little fuzzball there. I've since learned how to take care of record players and records. And so essentially with the business, I did a few pop-ups. I started selling online, and that's why I said, social media is everything. It's not, but I created, a brand and used social media as a vehicle to kind of connect with people all over the world through Instagram by being predominantly an online book and record store selling mostly used goods before the pandemic even happened. And then when the pandemic happened and people, were at home, like I started getting orders and connecting with people from all over the United States and sometimes even globally to kind of get like these certain rare books or certain rare records. And I was like, whoa, this could like actually be a thing.
Yeah.
So I think in July of 2020, I filed and got an LLC officially. I was like, well, this is escalating quickly.
Yep.
This is more than whatever tax allotment you can have. And so I filed, got an LLC, opened up a business banking account, got me a tax ID number, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this too.
Yep.
And I was still planning on continuing to teach at the time. But because of the pandemic, I applied for a virtual position so I could be more flexible with my son, who was 1 at a time.
Yep.
And it didn't go through because I didn't have a pre-existing health condition. So I was like, well, maybe this is a sign from the universe to just lean into this other interest that's been happening.
Yep.
And so the brick and mortar signed the lease December 2020 and it officially opened in 2021 and been slowly figuring it out ever since. I feel like there's so much winging it, no matter how intentional you are, no matter how planned you are. But yeah. And you got to visit the other day, and
yeah, that was cool.
I feel like it's not final form, but like it's in a full form now. If people saw the shop in 2021, 2022, they've been privy to its evolution.
Yeah.
But it's been fun, and so I run the Fuzzy Needle. I'm there most days. I mean, obviously my Schreiber work takes precedence. And then, I'm a 20% owner of a skateboard company called Transportation Unit. And my 4 other business partners are like either very talented in the key of design, marketing, e-commerce. They're just really talented people. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do my part? And I was like, wait a minute, like I'd be happy to just like distribute the boards. Like I'm shipping stuff all over the United States already for the shop. And like, guys want to like have another LLC and like create a skateboard distribution? And they were like, yeah, we're going to save so much money.
Yeah, we're going to vertically integrate.
We're going to vertically integrate. There it is. We vertically integrated. And so I run a small skateboard distribution that primarily ships and distributes Transportation Unit apparel and boards. And then I run the book and record shop.
How cool.
And, back to teaching, and back to the record shop.
Yeah.
And every single college essay, graduate essay, teacher of the year essay, like for me, what I always liked about things in teaching, and I realized this is the answer, is like how can I combine all of my interest, not necessarily in a profitable way, but like in a useful or helpful way. And so in teaching, I was like, I like reading, I like working with young people, I love the schedule, I love the environment, I love the culture. Like I actually like all these things. Like this makes sense. And as your interests evolve and you get older or you change, and I'm really falling in love with vinyl records. I've always been a book person. I'm really just passionate about these just amazing artifacts and getting them into the right hands. So the shop naturally happened. And then I'm a passionate skateboarder. Like I'm a lifelong skate rat.
Yeah.
So I'm able to combine the things that I'm passionate about or interested in a useful way. Our shop's a community space and skateboards are fun and somewhat utilitarian, but education is still it. Like it's learning. And I'm able to show up as my real self because I actually like the things that I'm doing, and I like the people I'm working with, and I believe in it.
Yep.
And that's makes it easy to either sell something or educate when you actually believe.
Yep.
And people know. Especially teenagers.
Definitely.
Their BS detectors are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, authenticity is
it's real.
Is a real thing. And I just love I remember when I was growing up, my buddy had a skateboard, or had a t-shirt, and it was just a skateboard and it said, "This is not a weapon." Right? And this and then also I think what's cool about you is that you break down maybe some what's the word I'm looking for?
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes. Thank you. Right.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, I'm a skate rat or I'm a skateboarder. Oh yeah, I also have a master's from Harvard, and I've done all this like really positive stuff in our community. And you could take that to so many different like verticals of people that have a bad stereotype. And,
totally.
It's just like, I don't know, we could go deep on that for...
Yeah. I think that's such an important thing. I've always needed that balance. Like, you know, and I stumbled upon it somehow or another, but for me, like my AP US history teacher was just like, she's like made fun of me because I'm like, I'd walk into school like carrying a skateboard and carrying a stack of books.
I love it, man.
That is so cool. I was like, these things are reconcilable. And you know, skateboarding was a whole lot more counterculture then, and a little bit even almost like tribal. And it's changed. But I was like, yeah, these are just two important parts of myself, and sometimes they make sense together, and sometimes they might not to other people.
Right.
But I learned so much about, you know, I was like an avid reader, so I would read every single skateboard magazine. I'd learn about like these awesome older skateboarders or people my age, and I'm like, oh, like I learned a lot about music and a lot about books through skateboarding, and like a lot of positive like role models and influences from that.
Absolutely.
And also just got to meet so many cool people and traveling and quite literally being on ground level with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Like getting to like, you know, travel, working on a video project or working with a company and going to new places and going to new cities and meeting people. It was awesome. So skateboarding still is just such it's very humbling, but it's also just like super educational for me. Even to this day, I mean, I'll be at a skate park and meet someone who's visiting or run into someone who we have some type of connection together. It's the same with surfing in the water.
Yeah.
Just a little less territorial because, like, you know, we always have like a 4 or 5 foot concrete wave waiting for us. When you guys are battling for a wave, it can get kind of tense sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
finite resources.
Yeah, definitely. So looking back on, you know, your career and everything you've done, and as we kind of culminate our discussion here, what would you say that you're most proud of, or a couple? I know it's probably hard to, but let's get one. What would you say? And aside from family, because I'm sure, you know, you're a family guy, and you know, talking about being a dad, I'm sure is, but.
Yeah, well, I am the most proud of being a partner, father, brother, and son.
Right.
And that's what keeps me grounded in my chaotic life, is like my family and my friends and that network of support. Outside of that, I really am probably the most proud of taking advantage of the educational opportunities that were presented to me. I felt really lucky. Yeah. I had, you know, I went to Mary C. Williams for elementary school, Myrtle Grove for middle, Ashley. I had educational opportunities that were afforded to me, whether through luck, alchemy, definitely through a degree of probably privilege. And I had a lot of friends who those opportunities got presented to and didn't, you know, or had different choices and different trajectories. And I'm really proud that I took advantage of them.
Absolutely.
And I kind of met, you know, these either institutions or these teachers or these mentors in the middle. And I learned a lot about that, kind of putting in the effort and working people and having these people alongside of me in these journeys. And it was a really healthy kind of feedback model to be positively rewarded in the educational system. Not everyone gets to experience that.
Absolutely.
And built a sense of efficacy, like where you feel like your work and your effort matter. And that was something I always tried to instill in students, or try to create an environment like where your effort always matters. And that's kind of what keeps the hope cycle going.
Heck yeah.
It keeps things fun.
What are you most excited about for the future?
Oh man, outside of family?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I'm interested in going back to school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm in this really exciting place in my career where I've learned some things, but I've realized there's so much more to learn. You know, I'm classic mid-career. I'm like 15, 16 years into this educational experience. In this role with Schreiber, in this great opportunity with the endowment that I have, with my experience in education, I'm really interested in doing either PhD work or something akin to like an Ed.D. To really focus specifically on education. There's an Ed.D. program at UNC Chapel Hill that's really focused on the intersectionality of businesses, nonprofits, and education.
How cool.
And how they can all work together.
I mean, that's you. I mean,
that's
right
it.
Now. Like,
and
that's literally.
I was reading the course description and I was just like,
no
all right,
way.
I've got 2 fuzzy needle locations. We're running the skateboard distribution. Schreiber is my world. Yeah. My family is my even bigger part of my world.
Yeah.
like, how are we going to fit this Ed D in here? You know, and it's great. It's remote. I'm not sure when I'm going to apply, but I really want to take some time to take a close look at our educational community and figure out how to do even more, and to grow as a leader, because that's the thing that I feel. I was prepared to lead students in the classroom. You know, I'm still making sense of what it means to be an executive director and leader in the nonprofit sector. And even sometimes in the business sector. And I'm open to learning about that. And I feel like to be a leader, you have to be open, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, continuing my education.
Heck yeah.
And enriching, like, you know, like my experiences and perspectives.
Definitely.
So, that's it for me. It's a pretty simple one.
Yeah.
I would like to figure out a way not to pay rent for my business.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's okay. That might be impossible for a while.
Well, man, thank you for everything you're doing.
Dude, I'm stoked.
And thanks for taking the time to come on. I learned a ton about you, more than I had known, and I'm stoked to know you and look forward to collaborating.
I hope this all makes sense. We were like, you know, talking about all the different things, but it was a blast.
No, it definitely all makes sense, and I think that it makes a lot more sense, you know, being able to really talk about it all in more of like at length and connect the dots.
Absolutely. And I appreciate this because this made me think about like just this common thread of like, how can you combine what you're passionate about or interested in a way that's useful or feasible? And this has really been my common thread, and I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to include that in my my doctoral application. Like it's it, man. I'm excited about those things.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Well, cheers, man.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Chris.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.